Good morning, friend. We're glad that you're joining us today as we get ready to record 163 of the Family Meeting Podcast. It's bright and early. Well, it's actually not bright and early, is it?
It's dark and early.
We're getting up really early this morning to bring this podcast to you because we have a crazy day, and this is the only chance we had today to get in our recording. So that's why we're here this early. That's why he looks like he does.
I feel like a lot of our days are just crazy. And so we just have to figure out a time to get the recording done week to week.
But here's the thing. You do whatever is important to you. And you guys are important to us. And getting this out to you is important to us. So we make time for it, right?
More important than my physical health. I skipped the gym today.
We can tell.
It's like, if we got to start recording that earlier, I'm not going to the gym.
Yeah, I think that was a very good choice.
How big are the bags under my eyes today?
Let me see. They're pretty big. What do you guys think?
Does it look like I'm traveling internationally with this luggage?
Looks like you got ping pong balls under there.
Yeah, I feel like it.
I think that people are going to be able to tell in our voices that it's very early on the podcast.
We'll see. We can crank it up. I haven't had caffeine yet either, so it's like,
oh yeah,
I got to crank it up a notch. Like,
I haven't either. I'm trying to drink mine, but it's too hot.
Good morning.
Hi, we've been up for hours.
Just say good afternoon. And your mind will be like, it's afternoon.
Okay, let's pretend it's the afternoon. I need a nap.
Good call. Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas. This is my wife, Lysandra.
Hello and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 163 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we are going to talk about a topic.
Do you know what we're going to talk about?
We're going to
She's like, we're going to talk about...
No. I was just trying to think of
what are we
how
doing
to say
today?
I do know what we're doing today, but it's not an easy topic.
Definitely not off to a great start.
What I was trying to say is it's a difficult topic and it's not really a pleasant one, but we're going to talk about pain today.
Oh, okay.
Who just loves to talk about pain?
So are you talking about,
Nobody.
Like, what kind of pain are we discussing?
We are discussing a variety of pain. It could be physical, emotional, specifically probably those two, but really I think any pain. We're really going to be talking about the purpose behind pain and not only dealing with your own pain, but it's really hard to watch your family go through pain.
Yeah.
And how to handle that. I mean, the moment we feel pain, our gut reaction is to look for the quickest way out. Like, how can I get out of this pain? Whether it's physical or emotional, we want relief. But there is a purpose to pain, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. And this episode was kind of planted in my mind many, many years ago, before we ever started the Family Meeting Podcast. My girls were little, and one of my girls, probably about 5 years old, had a friend who hurt their feelings, and she was crying. And I mean, it was like one of those moments where your daughter believes that this is the end of the world.
Yeah.
You know, and like their world has crumbled, and for them it is very real. And watching her go through that, I was so upset. And I said something to my mom like, I wish I could have prevented her from feeling this pain. And my mom said something very profound. She said, I know it's hard, but your kids need to feel pain.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, true, but I don't like it. And so I've been kind of thinking about that for a lot of years. And because, of course, that wasn't the last time any of our children felt pain.
No.
It wasn't the last time we have had pain. And so we're going to share some of our experiences with you. And we're going to share the hope in the purpose to pain.
So before we jump into this very painful episode, Lysandra and I want to invite you to join us at Highland Community Church in Washington. And I'm not saying the name of the town because I've never heard it pronounced, and I have no idea how to pronounce that. How would you pronounce it? That way all the people who live there can make fun of you.
Cowiche.
Yeah, Cowiche. So
join us in Cowiche, Wisconsin.
All of our listeners...
Wait, Washington.
Washington, not Wisconsin.
I didn't even get the right state. I'm way off.
You mispronounced Washington big time. Can let us know how to say that. But We're going to be doing a marriage weekend there, May 17th to 19th next year, and want to invite you to come be a part of it. You can follow our Facebook page for more information, or go over to familymeeting.org, and we'll have the event registration there as soon as it's available.
I'm excited about this. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. We've got a few fun events scheduled for next year, different areas of the country, so we look forward to spending some time with all of you.
Mm-hmm. All right, and hopefully it won't be as painful as this episode.
Yeah.
You like that segue back into our topic today?
You just stole what I did when I segued into...
we segued in and we segued out and back in again. Okay.
Which reminds me, I've never ridden a Segway. Have you?
No. Anniversary trip, maybe?
Maybe in Washington.
Okay.
Definitely have Segways out there, right?
In Waukee.
No, Kowichi.
Wisconsin.
I know James is going to listen to this. James is the pastor of the church where we're going, and listen to this and be like, maybe they shouldn't come.
You know what, James?
I can't even say the name.
It's very early, James, and I would like that to be our defense. Okay. Why, Thomas? Okay. Why? This is a question you as a pastor get all the time, don't you? Why do we experience pain? Why is there suffering in the world? You know, no human is immune to it. Not one of us. Not one of us is free from pain. Pain is the great equalizer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pain is present in all cultures, races, economic classes, genders, and ages. And I was thinking about this specifically with the different classes. We were watching some biography, and I think it was on Robin Williams. And just thinking about like one of his young friends was Christopher Reeves.
Yeah.
Who was at the time famous, at the height of his career, very attractive, wealthy, all the things. But it doesn't matter what your economic class is, or, you know, how rich you are, or any of those things. It cannot prevent you from feeling pain. Pain crosses all of the lines. But why? Why do we experience pain?
Well, and the reason it's even here in the first place is because of sin. Mm-hmm. It was not originally the way that the world was. There was no pain, there was no sorrow, no heartbreak, and all of that. Those things are all a result of sin. And we can go all the way back to Genesis chapter number 3, where Adam and Eve made the decision to go against what God had instructed them to do. And ultimately, our pain is a result of the outflow of all of that. And we feel the pain of our own choices and problems as well. We live in a fallen, broken world. And I know that some people have a difficulty with that. You know, how could a loving God allow what's happening to take place in Gaza right now? But it's a result of all of our own sinful actions. Mm-hmm. But when we talk about focusing in on an actual why behind it, you know, we are Christians, and this is a Christian podcast, and we discuss a lot of things that doesn't matter if you're a believer or not. If you just follow some wise instruction, and it will be great for your relationships. But when we talk about pain and the why behind it, the first thought that goes to my mind is the Apostle Paul, who is somebody who helped really build and establish the church around the world outside of Jerusalem to the Gentiles. And he's regarded as one of the greatest Christians to ever live, wrote most of our New Testament, and he wrote to the Corinthians. And this is something I think about often in my own just personal struggles. He talks about the fact in writing to these believers in Corinth that, hey, I don't want you to be ignorant or unknowing of the troubles that we had. And he talks about the fact that he was pressed down above measure to the point where he despaired even of life. And some of you have been there.
Yeah.
Some of you have been there because of physical pain, where it's just like, I cannot take this pain any longer. I was talking about this with my mom last week because my mom is in severe knee pain and is supposed to be having surgery in a couple days here. And you get to the point where it hurts so bad that you want, I don't care, I'll cut my own leg off so that I don't have to feel this knee pain anymore.
And when you think about that, you understand how people can say, I'd rather die than experience this pain, whether it be physical or emotional.
Yeah. And you had some severe back pain for a while. And how did you feel about that? Did you ever get to a point where you were like, I cannot take this anymore. I want it to be over, like end my life, or maybe you weren't thinking about ending your own life, but it's just, this pain has to end.
It's interesting. I deal with pain in an unusual way. The physical pain has never, ever made me think I would rather just die than deal with this. It's always been emotional pain. The physical pain, I cry. I definitely have been there where I'm just broken down over the pain and I cry and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I never thought about wishing for death during physical pain, but emotionally, many times where like a relationship fell apart or someone didn't like me. And it sounds so trivial. It sounds ridiculous. How could it be possibly that I would think about the sweet relief of death when a person says they don't like me?
Yeah.
But that's because that's where my pain really hits.
Yeah. And I think of a friend of ours who, she was going through severe physical pain for a long time. And she just literally was like, I just wanted to end my life. And emotional pain can do that as well, just as Lysandra mentioned a second ago, that dealing with the emotional pain and struggle, and some of you are dealing with some of these painful issues, whether it's relationship stuff or whatever else that's going on, and it's like, I just want the pain to stop, because it really doesn't matter if it's physical or if it's emotional. We want that relief. And it becomes overwhelming oftentimes, especially if we feel the pain over time and there's really no end in sight. Mm-hmm. There's no answers, there's no easy solution, there's no easy fix. Then we can get to that point. And that's where the Apostle Paul got. And I love that he showed his humanity there. Because we often lift up these people that we read about in the scripture on some sort of pedestal, like they're so much greater and better and somehow like some superhuman, super Christian. No, they're just people.
Right.
That hurt, that feel pain, that struggle. And so he says, we got to the point where we despaired even of life. Mm-hmm. Like, I just wanted my life to end. And then he goes on to say this. The reason for it all was so that we'd learn to trust in God instead of trusting in ourselves. Mm. And I thought that was such a powerful thing. Mm-hmm. And you come from this man who, by his own accounts, had all the talent, all the ability, all the knowledge, all the stuff. According to historians, he was one of the wisest people, smartest people to ever live. Just an incredible person. And when you have people like that, it's easy for them to rely on their own talent, their own intellect, their own wisdom. And so he talks about the fact that the point behind this, for me, was learning to trust in God instead of myself. Mm-hmm. And one of the great things about dealing and struggling with pain in whatever form it is, we learn not to trust in ourselves. We learn to trust in God. Yeah. And so part of the process of dealing with pain is trying to look at it from a perspective that's outside of our own selfish viewpoint. Mm. Now, I'm not trying to downplay whatever it is that you're facing today and say that it's little or it's minuscule. It's not.
Right.
But if we can get outside of that, our selfish view of it, and get a grander picture here, and we're going to explain some other reasons behind the pain and what we can use it for and all those sorts of things as well today.
Right. And, maybe you're thinking today in the midst of your pain or watching someone that you love very dearly experience pain. Maybe you're thinking, I don't care about that. I don't really care about trusting God more than myself. Like, that's not even my goal. Why would I want that? Well, one thing I can say about it, having personally trusted in myself and personally trusted in God at different times in my life, is when you have this complete reliance and trust and dependence on God and not yourself, there is a sweet peace that is inexplicable. It doesn't make any sense. It's just beautiful. It's like, the anxiety is gone, the struggle, the depression that comes along with trying to trust in yourself. All of that is gone, and it's replaced with this beautiful peace. And so trusting in God rather than yourself really will benefit you. It really will be a good thing for you. And as Thomas said, we aren't minimizing anyone's pain. So as we go through this episode today, and we talk about these different things and the different purposes in pain, please don't misunderstand us that we're saying pain is no big deal. That is not the case at all. Pain is so difficult and it's so hard, and especially watching someone you love go through it, it's just awful.
Yeah.
And so we understand that, and we love you, and we care about what you're going through. And honestly, if you need someone to talk to and you would just like to share the pain that you're going through with someone else, and you need to just kind of get it off your chest or talk to someone, we are here for you.
Yeah.
You can find us on our social media. You can go to our website, familymeeting.org. You can email us. There's even a phone number that we're going to give you at the end of this episode where you could leave a voice message if you just want to talk it out. And nobody enjoys pain. None of us are ever like, oh, I'm in pain again. Isn't this great? I'm so glad. That is never the reaction in the immediate. And while we don't enjoy pain in our life, it's almost worse to watch your children go through pain.
Yeah.
Or someone you love. Now, I do remember some things that you used to say that would make me very, very angry when I was giving birth to our children.
I stick by it. You just literally said it's harder to watch somebody.
But I'm giving a caveat, okay? Because Thomas would always say, like, literally when I was in labor. And you know that Thomas and I have this weird banter relationship, but I have no pain medicine. I'm just naturally going through the pain of childbirth. And he would say to me, well, why don't you tell them what you'd say to me? Because I can't even repeat it.
It's harder to watch somebody go through labor than it is to go through labor.
Does anybody want to kill him right now? Ladies, where my ladies at?
You just said it's harder to watch them go through, somebody you love go through pain. It is.
Not childbirth, okay? It is harder to go through childbirth than to watch someone go through childbirth. I'm pretty sure I can say that.
Pain is pain. I mean, that's it. It's not like you had man flu, like with something serious.
Yeah, exactly. Man flu. Okay, but in all reality, in all seriousness, we just lost all of our women listeners, by the way. All the women were like, I'm done. You wish, like, if you see your spouse, the person that you love the most in life go through pain, you wish you could take it from them. Like, even, like, take it on myself.
I did not wish that I could give birth to our children. Just so you know.
I know you didn't, and I didn't wish that you could take it on because we would never have children. I don't think you could have made it through, baby.
I would not have.
No, you would not have. But you think about, like, when you watch your children go through pain, whether it is a physical pain or an emotional devastation, you wish you could relieve that pain. You wish that you could take it from them. And our instinct as a loving, caring parent or spouse is avoid the pain, protect them from the pain.
Well, and it's like one of our daughters when she was going through a breakup, and I just remember her falling on her floor in a heap and just wailing and just puddles of tears around her. And it was just so heartbreaking to deal with. And like, I wish I could take this pain. I wish I could dispatch of this person, but I wish I could take the pain away. Right.
And I think we've probably all heard that sound before, that wailing it's like the sound of pain.
Yeah.
Inside the body coming out.
Sorrow, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just awful. And our instinct is to avoid pain at all costs, whether that be putting up walls so we don't get hurt, or or, just being super careful physically, never letting our kids climb a tree or whatever else. But the truth is, pain does have purpose, and we aren't meant to numb the pain and try to get around it, whether that's self-medicating and whatnot. But in a way, embrace pain, which sounds so counterintuitive. But embrace pain and allow it to chisel away and shape us into who we are supposed to be. And that may be very hard to hear right now, depending on what you're going through. I know it's hard to think about when I'm in the midst of deep pain, but it really is good for us. And we're going to kind of talk about some of the different things that can come out of pain.
So 1 Peter chapter 4 tells us this: Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. And I think this is one of the lies our enemy tries to tell us, is that you're the only one who's gone through something like this.
Yes.
You're the only one feeling this. Mm-hmm. Nobody's ever had pain like this before. Nobody's ever struggled like this before.
No one understands.
And so Paul's writing Timothy saying, listen, don't believe that lie as if it's some weird thing. No, this is something we all face, we all go through. And he goes on to say, therefore let those who suffer according to God's will entrust their souls to a faithful Creator while doing good. And the first thing that we need to do when talking about dealing with pain is just entrust ourselves to God. Entrust ourselves to the one who created us, who knows what's happening. He sees, he cares, and he's going to take care of you.
Yes, he is. One of the benefits of pain, one of the purposes in pain, is pain draws us closer to God. And if you have ever gone through something very painful and you have a relationship with God, I am sure that you found that to be true in your own life. When real pain hits, I mean, in my life, I know I turn to God. It immediately makes me turn to God, and I'm like, God, I need you. I need your help. And my prayer life deepens, as in it becomes more deeply tied to my soul. And it also, it becomes more quality prayer, nothing just like, God bless them, God bless them, God bless them. I mean, it is from my very heart. And I pray more often. I will search the scriptures for comfort. And all of a sudden, it's like I am walking with God so closely. I am just holding his hand, tightly. I'm holding him so tightly because I need him so desperately in the midst of my pain. But when there is no pain and when things are pretty just like smooth, I'll kind of release the grip a little bit.
Yeah.
And I get a little comfortable.
I think we all do that to some extent.
Yeah. And the relationship is not as deep and is not as close. Would you say that you found this to be true in your own life, that your pain has drawn you closer to God?
Yeah, because the way that I think of it is I think of it in terms of our children. And whether they're toddlers or whether they're teenagers, they have this reaction to draw close to us as parents. Now, more often than not, when they were young and they fell down, they scraped their knee, they did whatever, they would run for mom. Mm-hmm. Like, I've got to run for mom. She's going to make this feel better. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things about their pain they deal with now is often they will come to dad and they just want that hug. Yeah. They want that strong reassurance, that physical reassurance while I quietly talk in their ear, words of consolation and hope and encouragement. And that's exactly what it does for me when I'm dealing with pain. Is it pushes me back to my Heavenly Father, looking for that comfort, that reassurance, that hope. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the great things about pain, is that it helps draw us back to Him. Mm-hmm. And you go back to the story of the prodigal son. where he wanders off to live his own life, do his own thing, and life just happens to him. And he's feeling that pain that he's dealing with, and he decides, hey, I'm gonna go back home. I'm going back to Dad. And that's exactly what God wants for each of us. Is he wants to draw us close. Mm-hmm. He wants us to come to him for that support, that encouragement. You do not have to face this alone. Whatever it is you're facing right now, whatever it is you're going through, that painful process, whether it's physically, emotionally, or whatever else, sometimes that financial pain, and we're feeling it right now, with inflation and everything that's happening.
Yes. So
let's head back to our Heavenly Father and just draw close to him. Mm-hmm. It also helps to build character. I'm a big fan of people's stories in life, and so you look at people who have gained success in different realms of life. With my own struggles with depression or whatever else, I'm a big fan of comedy. Mm-hmm. I do believe that, as the scripture says, that laughter does good like a medicine. And so I will often listen to comedians or whatever else, and of course that has me interested in their stories, and I've read many of their stories or watched documentaries and different things on their lives, and it's so fascinating that most of the ones who have become successful have come out of pain and difficulty and hardships, and it's really built them into who they are. You look at, I'm big into sports. You look at a lot of these athletes who come from horrible backgrounds, and that their circumstances and whatever they were going through in life were the thing that kind of was the catalyst for it all, because it helped build and shape and mold them into a person who would go out and accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. And it does build that character in us. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what the scripture tells us as well, that, hey, we need to let patience have her perfect work. And talks about, hey, these things build that character in us. And so don't rush the process. And often our first thought is, hey, I just want to get out of this pain.
How do I get out of this pain?
I want to get out of it.
The fastest. Yeah.
And it reminds me of the book, The Red Sea Rules.
Yes.
And he gives these 10 rules when you're dealing with difficulty. Mm-hmm. And one of the rules that he talks about is to be more concerned with God's glory than your relief. And he focuses on the fact that we often just want to get out of the pain as quickly as possible. We never want to feel pain in life. But there are a lot of benefits to pain and going through this process of working through it. And part of that, one of the greatest benefits, is building that character within us. Mm-hmm. Because we are a stronger person once we've gone through it.
Right. And think about that when, in terms of watching your children go through pain or watching your spouse go through pain. One of the worst things about ongoing pain is the lack of hope. When there is no hope, like I remember Thomas talked a little bit about my back pain. When you're in month 9, 10, 11 of severe back pain that prevents you from living life the way you used to live life, and it is present 24/7, you begin to think, this is how I will be for the rest of my life until the day I die.
Yeah.
And that is the moment you lose hope. There's no hope of relief. But I think that this stuff that we're talking about today, the purpose, I think this brings hope, because it's not hope of no more pain, but it's hope of purpose and a good outcome from the pain. So that can bring us hope when we are watching our children go through something horrible. there's hope in the fact that this is going to bring them closer to Jesus. This is going to build their character, and they're going to be a better person than they ever would have been before because of this horrible thing that they're going through, and I love what Helen Keller said. Helen Keller was blind and deaf. I mean, the amount of pain that she had in her life emotionally, physically, like the loss of hope, right? That's how I would feel. But we grow in these painful circumstances. And she said, a happy life consists not in the absence of hardships, but in the mastery of hardships. And there is this depth of joy that comes from mastering and overcoming our pain. And so that should bring us hope, not only for us in our pain, but hope for our children in their pain, hope for our spouse in their pain. We really do grow in these painful circumstances, in these terrible moments of pain. It's not like a happy life is the absence of difficulty, the absence of pain. That isn't true. For one thing, there is no life that is absent of pain.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's in what we do with that pain.
And I also think about the experience that it gives to us, and everything that it teaches us, helps us to learn these lessons. And a lot of times it's like building muscle that makes you stronger. You go to the gym and you start lifting weights, and what it does is while you're lifting weights, you're tearing down your muscle. So think about when you go and you exercise for the first time, or the first time in a long time.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time because I'm super inconsistent with my exercise. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah. And so you go and you do this exercise, and while you're exercising, you're tearing down your muscles. Mm-hmm. You don't realize it until the next day. Mm-hmm. And you wake up the next day and your muscles are so sore. Why? Because you've torn them down. Yep. And what happens is they regrow, and they get stronger and stronger. And that's why your muscles increase in size, because you see one of these guys at the gym that is just like huge. Mm-hmm. He spent a lot of time, day after day, tearing his muscles down, and they regrow stronger and larger than ever. And that's exactly what pain does for us. It's that tearing us down. But over time, that's making us absolutely just stronger than we've ever been as a person. And I think about some of the things early on that we went through in life and in our relationship, and it's like, oh man, this is horrible. Mm-hmm. This is gonna break us. This is gonna be the end of us.
Pain. It hurt.
And people rejecting you, people saying things that aren't true about you, physical pain that you deal with, all the stuff. And you feel like it's going to be the end, just like our kids when they're small and they scrape their knee and whatever else. Reminds me of our friend Grayson. We were out camping.
Love Grayson.
We were out camping. One of my best memories of camping was Grayson getting hurt.
Oh, poor buddy.
Because of his reaction.
He was like, I feel like we should share. He was like 8 years old, maybe.
Yeah. And so we're staying at this amazing campground with all these rocks and things to climb on, and the kids are having a great time. And he fell and he scraped his knee. And I hear him wailing. I thought for sure like he was dying.
I thought broken limbs.
I was
like, we are going to have to find a hospital.
And he's got this scrape on his knee. And he is just... you feel like it's going to be the end for him. Like, this is it.
I think he felt that way.
And so his dad's trying to help clean him up and all this stuff, and he's applying all the ointments to get the bacteria out and stuff, and it's like he is just having a time with it. So a little bit of time passes. Pain's not as bad.
He calms down a little. Mm-hmm.
He goes back to play. Mm-hmm. And he was not out there 10 minutes, and it happened again.
Same same spot, I think. Didn't he scrape the
Yes,
same knee?
same knee, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
of course, screaming and
Yeah.
wailing again.
Yeah. And so, but I think early on in our life, we were going through things where it was like, I feel like it's going to be the end. Now, Grayson felt like it was going to be the end for him. Now, he made it. He made it through. You made it through, Grayson. I'm proud of you.
We love you, Grayson.
But experiences like that, they help to build us. Mm-hmm. So before, when we were scraping our knee thinking it was going to be the end, now we've gone through some things that really we couldn't have handled before.
Right.
Could not have handled this kind of pain, this kind of betrayal, this kind of hardship. But because we've gone through these processes, these painful processes that have helped to learn us, help us to grow us, have increased who we are as a person. Mm-hmm. Now we're able to handle it. We're able to deal with it. Is it difficult still? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But I've got the strength to deal with it. Mm-hmm. I've got the experience to look back to deal with it.
Yeah. When we reach the other side of our pain, and let me tell you, you will reach the other side of your pain. If you do not give up, you trust in the Lord, you keep going, there is hope. You will reach the other side of your pain, whether here or in heaven. But one thing that we can do with our pain is we can help others who are going through pain in a significant way. Because I think about, there's so many times when I'm sitting on one couch, a friend is sitting on another couch, and this woman is unloading her story onto me, and she's telling me what she's gone through. And listen, guys, I've gone through some stuff, but I haven't gone through everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they'll share something with me and I'm like, you know what? I have not gone through that, but I know somebody who can. And so I'm going to connect you with this woman because she knows exactly how you feel because she went through the exact same thing. And she's going to be able to pray for you in a more meaningful way. And she's going to be able to give you counsel that I cannot because she's gone through this. So she can help you in a significant way. And so I'll try to pair people up. And there are, of course, occasions where someone comes across my way and I'm like, I have been there. I have been where you are. I know how you feel. And I can share my experiences, the lessons I've learned, the way I grew closer to the Lord, and all of these things because I've been there. And I think about 1 Corinthians, and this verse right here gives me so much hope. For my pain, for my children's pain, for your pain, Thomas, this is a verse, a passage that gives me hope.
Well, because it puts what you're going through into perspective. Like there is a reason. There's something useful that can come out of what I'm facing. And that is my ability to be able to help somebody else through what they're going through.
Yes. And it's so fulfilling to help someone else. It feels so good. And it's such a joy to watch someone else experience help from you. It's such a wonderful thing.
Well, and having that feeling that this didn't just happen to me for no reason.
Right. It wasn't wasted.
And I think about all the garbage we've gone through in the past, whether it's both of us being fired the same day from the church that we were working in, whether it is dealing with you almost losing your life. You know, it didn't just happen for no reason. Mm-hmm. Like there were reasons behind it. And there's usefulness behind it because now we have experiences that we can help other people who are going through the same or very similar things.
Yes. All right. So listen to this passage. This is so beautiful, and I'm going to try not to rush it. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies, the God of all comfort, who comforts us in our affliction. Why? So that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. For as we share abundantly in Christ's sufferings, so through Christ we share abundantly in comfort too. Mm-hmm. If we are afflicted, it's for your comfort and salvation. And if we're comforted, it's for your comfort. with which you experience when you patiently endure the same sufferings that we suffer. Our hope for you is unshaken, for we know that as you share in our sufferings, you will also share in our comfort. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. If you haven't gone through a pain, then you haven't experienced that amazing comfort, which means that you don't really know how to comfort someone else. I mean, there is that purpose in the pain. You can help someone who has never gone through it. So let me tell a very brief story. I'm going to open up a little bit more about what Thomas was talking about when our daughter fell to the floor, wailing and crying over this broken relationship. And it was very one-sided. They both told each other, I love you. 16-year-old girl, I love you. I love you too. And oh, everything's wonderful in the world. And then she was ghosted.
Yeah.
No more text, no more talking, wouldn't answer the phone, would not speak to her. So you can imagine how that feels. I mean, as
rejection, that
rejection, as an adult, like, you know, it stinks. But as a teen girl, your world has completely fallen apart. And that's where she was at. And we watched her go through that horrible pain. And I remember we were on a walk, her and I were on a walk one night. It was still very fresh. And I kept checking in with her. We would actually, I think we would go on walks every night because she would walk the dog and I would go with her. And just to check in, how you feeling today? Is it getting any better? Whatever. And one thing that I remember telling her is I was talking about this passage of scripture and I said, you know, you're the oldest sister and this pain is real. This hurts. Your heart is broken right now. But I said, there's going to come a day when one of your younger sisters has their heart broken and they are going to be crying and crushed. And you're going to be able to come alongside them and say, I know how you feel. I have been there. And you're going to be able to comfort them and wrap your arms around them in a way that you would not be able to do if you hadn't gone through this. And I kind of saw her get a little bit of hope. Mm-hmm. Like I could see that she thought, like, I would like to be able to do that for my sisters. And she had a little hope. And it wasn't too long later, maybe a year later, when one of her sisters did have not the exact same situation, but a similar one where she was hurt by a boy. And sure enough, her older sister was able to give her that comfort. And I took her aside and I said, do you remember when we talked about that? And she's like, I do. I was thinking about that when I was comforting her. And it's almost like there's this joy from it because you look back on your sorrow and your pain and you see how it is so wonderful to have that experience, to be able to comfort the next person that you love. And it's awesome to be able to help people. So keep that in mind when you are in the midst of that fiery trial or that horrible pain. There is a purpose in this. And someday you're going to be able to comfort someone else with the comfort that you have received from God.
Mark Batterson's one of my favorite authors, and I love what he says here. He says, it's not our experiences that make us or break us. It's our interpretation of and explanation for those experiences that ultimately determines who we become. Your explanations are more important than your experiences.
Wow.
And so what he's trying to say is, it's not the fact that I've got this chronic pain or I've got this struggle that I'm dealing with. That does not have to be the key identifier for who you are. No, the key identifier is, okay, what do I do with that? Mm-hmm. I struggle with this chronic back pain. What am I going to do with this? Am I going to let this keep me down? Am I going to let this be the end of me? And I'm going to find a way to fight through this and still make an impact in this world and still have a purpose. I think about one of the dearest ladies we know. Her name is Deb. And she, from the time that I've known her, she's known me since I was born. She has had physical health problems and struggles of all kinds, and is in the hospital some weeks more than she's out. And one of the things that she does is she lives her life, even though she's in the midst of all this pain and all this struggle all the time. She lives her life to be an encouragement to other people.
It's amazing.
With phone calls, with text, she makes homemade cards and just lets people know, I'm praying for you, I love you, wants to be an encouragement. Like, she's not letting her illness and her personal struggle, health struggle, define who she is as a person. You know, she is a person who brings comfort, who brings joy everywhere she goes. Every person she talks to is encouraged. And I love that about her, and it's exactly what Mark is talking about here. Because there are those who, they play the victim card, where they're just defined by whatever the difficulty is they're facing, whatever the pain is they're facing, they're just identified by that. And here this woman is like, no, I'm not going to be identified with that by that. I'm going to be identified by being a loving, a caring, an encouraging person. And the question really is, for you, what's going to identify you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, are you going to allow that thing, that pain, that hurt? Are you going to allow that thing to control you and to dictate who you're going to be? Or are you going to say, no, even though this person hurt me, I'm still going to open up my heart to people and I'm still going to love them.
It's a choice.
Even though physically I'm in pain and I may not be able to do everything that I want to do. Does that mean I can't do anything? Does that mean I have no purpose? No, there's still a great purpose out there for me. Mm-hmm. There's still people that I can help and love and encourage and support.
Yes.
And so I love that phrase, and it's exactly what we're talking about in 1 Corinthians chapter 1 here, about taking the pain that we've felt and the struggle that we're going through and using it to be a help, a hope, and an encouragement to the people who are around us. And yeah, what do you had something you want to share?
Yeah, well, and one other thing that I wanted to share about this, the purposes in pain. Pain can really draw us closer as a family. It draws us closer together as a family, which is we have experienced in our lives, and it's been so great to experience that. And if we didn't have certain painful experiences in our lives, we wouldn't be as close as we are as a family. And I mean, a couple of times in our lives, there have been real pain. And when that happened, it was like our family was fused together.
Yeah.
I think about the day that we had to go to the emergency room. I was literally dying. And you got me down the stairs and you put me on the floor in the kitchen because I couldn't stand up. And you had to go load the car with some bags and stuff. And I was laying flat on my back with my arms and legs just flopped out to the side and my mouth open because I didn't have the physical strength to even close my mouth. And the girls came into the kitchen and each one sat by one limb. I had a girl on each arm holding my hand. I had a girl on each leg, like laying on my leg, and all four of the girls are crying. They're all crying on top of me, and I can't even hardly speak to them. And it was like we had to say goodbye. And I don't think up until that moment we had ever been that close. Like emotionally, physically, like we were just close. And we walked out the door and went to the emergency room, and I was in the hospital for a week with an emergency surgery and everything. And of course the Lord brought me through, and I'm so grateful for that. But when I got home, man, we were close.
Yeah.
My kids did not want to leave my side. You didn't want to leave my side.
I know.
I was like, go to work so I can get out of bed and do things I'm not supposed to do after the surgery. But we were close. I think about when we moved to Florida and there was a lot of emotional pain.
Oh, yeah.
I think about the car ride when we left our Iowa church. We're all in the car, and it's that sound of pain leaving the body. It's wailing is the best way to describe it. All 5 of us girls were wailing. You were crying, but quietly.
Yeah.
And we were all just wailing, and we had to stop to get gas at some point, and we all got out of the van, and we all just held each other so tightly and just cried. We were so close. And when we got here, we were so close because pain does draw you closer as a family.
So here's the thing. God is capable of using very bad pain to produce a very good purpose. Mm-hmm. To help you find your purpose in your pain, you need to ask yourself these questions. How could the story of my pain offer hope to somebody else who needs to hear my story? Mm-hmm. Everybody loves stories.
Oh, yeah.
And your story is valuable. Your story has power. How has my pain changed my attitude toward others who are suffering? Mm-hmm. Because if we've not gone through pain, it's really hard to identify with others who have gone through pain. Mm-hmm. What can I create or produce that would be a resource of hope for others? And maybe it is something like writing a book. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's starting a blog. Maybe it's starting up a podcast. And you're just sharing your story and helping others and talking with others about the painful things that they're going through. How is my pain prompting me to make changes in how I live my life? Pain has a great way of showing us what's truly important in life.
Oh, yeah.
And often we're focused in on things that don't really matter, but when it comes down to feeling that pain, we learn what's really important. How is my pain prompting me to make my remaining days matter? Some of you that have been going through physical pain for a long time, you think about the end of life. You think about what that's going to bring for you. What are you doing to make those days matter? What about this? What is God saying to me in my pain? Because God is wanting to say something to you. And sometimes we're screaming so loud we can't hear what it is He's trying to say to us. Mm-hmm. And so with the family meeting tonight, we want you to have this kind of conversation. And it's a great way to remind yourself, but it's also a great way to teach our children that there is purpose in pain, that pain can be very valuable in our lives. And so I want you just to kind of go around the room and share your most painful moments. Like, what was the most painful thing for you, physically, emotionally? And then talk about how God has used that in positive ways in your life. Mm-hmm. So we're sharing the pain, but we're also sharing what the purpose was behind it.
Right.
I think that'll be a helpful conversation because your kids are going to go through pain, whether we like it or not. You are going to continue to go through pain, like it or not. Mm-hmm. It's a part of this life. But it helps us to stay focused on what's really important here, the purpose behind it all. What can be accomplished? How can I grow? How can I help others? And I think that'll be a helpful conversation for you.
Thanks, friends, for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we talk about holding grudges, how they can destroy you and your relationships.
All right.
Sometimes we can't help it. We hold grudges, or sometimes we hold grudges and we don't know we hold grudges.
Yeah, this will be some things we got to get out.
I was going to say, I think this might be our best therapy session yet. We're just going to tell each other.
I'm not one who really holds grudge. I forget so quickly.
You're lucky. You forget very easily. I don't forget anything.
No, she do not.
I have to actually work to get rid of grudges. Thomas is just like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
How you holding up, babe?
Doing all right. I'm ready for some caffeine, though.
I don't think that our podcast listeners even knew that it was 5 a.m. I think we totally pulled it off.
Yeah, except you were yawning the whole time.
Yeah, only YouTube knew.
Yeah, they saw you. There it is. Boom. All right, we'll see you later.